Welcome to episode 18 of the Mile 20 podcast where epic shit happens. I'm Lori and I'm here with my bestie, but not really here in
Yeah, you're
spirit.
not really here, you're there, and I'm here, but we're together still.
We are. My bestie Laura.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm in PA, you're in New York.
Yes, as you can tell, I'm at my rustic cabin. If you join us on YouTube, I've got some interesting stuff going on behind me.
I absolutely love the lake view though, and I'm assuming that there is no ice on the lake right now.
There is no ice on the lake. However, it is 41 degrees up here.
Oh, do you
And
have
it
the
was
fire going?
No, well, not right now because we are completely 100% out of wood from the year. So we're waiting to have that delivered.
Okay, that's
We,
problematic.
yeah, we did get a little square on the way home from Tupper Lake. We were just at Tupper Lake having dinner at Racket River Brewing. And we bought a little square for $7. So we'll be having a fire at least tomorrow. So that'll be
Nice.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, you gotta do those sparingly when you got a little bundle going on. Otherwise, it's like a raging fire.
Exactly.
We probably,
Exactly.
I think when we were up there in February, we probably went through like half of your cord of wood.
Yeah, we went through a lot. And honestly, like DJ is coming up with four of his swim friends next weekend. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna have the wood delivered them and make them all stack it
Oh,
because
there you go.
yeah, because they'll kill that as like the big strapping swimmers that they are.
That's right. That's right. Make them feel the country feel.
Exactly. They need to, they have a free place to stay for a few days. At least they could do is stack some wood.
Absolutely. Well, I love it that we can still go and do our podcast despite both of us being in slightly different locations.
Yes, and having to figure out all the technical equipment
Oh my
around
God.
getting
We were
this to
like
work.
working on like at least my audio for like a half hour.
Yeah, but it was really all along my problem, not yours.
It's all good. It's all
It is.
good.
So today we will be discussing the Outer Banks Marathon, and our little points of interest will be a beach bonfire, Futuro house, and a torn tendon.
We didn't like the torn tendon thing.
No, that
That's not going
sucked.
to be a good part of the story.
That is not, no.
No.
And again, we want to thank everybody who's been joining us, and please join us on our socials. We're on at Mile 20 Podcasts on Instagram, Facebook, any place that you want to find us. There's a link tree on all those places that will get you to where you need to be to listen to us, and we would love to hear from you. So anyway, Laura, what you over there drinking for your Mile 20 beverage of the week?
Well, once we get into talking about our bonfire, where we had a nice bottle of red wine, it was a bottle of 2015 David Bruce Pinot Noir.
Ooh.
So, cheers, my friend. I am drinking a David Bruce Pinot Noir tonight in commemoration of our bonfire that we'll talk about here in a second.
Very nice. My resources are a bit limited where I am in upstate New York. So I'm just going with a classic old fashioned with Elijah Craig bourbon, of course, because it's
Oh,
my
that is your
favorite.
choice. That
That
is
is my
your
choice.
go-to. Yes. Yes.
Yes. So not really related to the Outer Banks, but I'm in New York,
But it's
so
40 something degrees in New York and you
it
should have an
is.
old fashioned right now.
Yes. So cheers, my friend.
Cheers, my friend.
So I know I'm in upstate New York, but what have you been doing this last week, Laura Lee?
I finally went to my first book club.
Ooh.
Yes. So during the holidays, in December, we had a neighborhood ugly sweater party at one of our neighbor Karen's houses. And so I was talking to my two neighbors, Sue and Jen. And I don't know how we got into it, but we started talking about books. And they started rattling off books. And I'm like, wait, what's the name of that book? And I'm taking, me and my phone and my
Yes.
lists. So I started writing all these, books down and stuff. And they're like, wait, are you really into reading? I'm like, are you kidding me? I love to
Right.
read. I listen to books all the time. So they said, oh my gosh, we need to see if we can get you into our book club. And the name of the book club is The Dirty Dozen. So there are
Ooh,
12
nice.
women in the group. So I guess me adding like another one, we can maybe be like the dirty baker's dozen.
There you
I
go.
don't know. But I haven't been able to make a book club the past couple of months because every time they had a date set, I was traveling somewhere. And this past month I was able to go. So we went to the Brickside, which is in Exton,
Is that
PA.
Eagle View?
Is it Eagle View, PA or Exton? I can't
Well,
tell
it's in
which
Exton, but the
address.
little development's Eagle View is where
Yes,
it's at.
it's
Yeah.
in Eagle View, and it just was absolutely fabulous meeting these women. I don't know. They just are a very very dynamic group around our age as well. All have kids either in college, some of them still in high school, some out of college, and they're just a sassy group, but very 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 sweet. So
Aw.
I met, I think it was seven of the women, and then my neighbor Jen was there. So it just was a really really nice evening, and I don't know. I came home just kind of. When you meet a new group of people and you just feel like you just connected with some folks, and it just felt good. You didn't feel like awkward like being the
Oh,
newbie in
that's
the group.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
did you guys read?
So we read Go as a River by Shelley Reed. That's
Uh-huh.
Reed. Reed is her last name. Fantastic book. That's one that I recommended to you, Julie, and Mary Beth. And now this month, where I'm almost done with the book, is called The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhorn. So these are two books that I swear, Lori, I would have never picked up had I, just being on my own. I have different genres of books that I like to listen to. I mean, you've introduced me to like, oh, I think that the most different one that you recommended to me was The Shadow Diver or Shadow
Oh yeah.
Divers. And
Yes.
and I would never have picked that book up, and I absolutely loved it. So I don't know. There's something about just kind of talking about books with other people and, them giving you recommendations. So that's what, I did different this week, which is awesome. And then as you know, I threw my back out yesterday. So I
Yes.
saw my my
Which
magic
is
body
never good
man.
when that happens to Laura. Not good.
Yeah, no, it's not no bueno. And I have a bulge disc on my L4 that happened many, many years ago. And I kind of keep it at bay. And maybe what now, once or twice a year, I have an incident where it just goes kaplooey. And it definitely was the probably 300 pounds bench that was on our floating dock that Jim and I carried to put behind our garage.
Yeah.
And I just dropped it the wrong way. And I think it was from painting the day before for like many, 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 many hours.
Yes.
And that's what did me in. So
They
I'm
always say
okay
that
right now.
backs are a cumulative effect too. Like what may be fine for a while is not okay. Like if you're gardening a lot and then painting and then lifting everything.
Yes, yes. Yeah, at 54, and your body's like, fuck you. You're not 18 anymore. You need to rest.
God damn it.
Yeah, so I saw Justin at Marino's today. He was able to work me in, and he said that because we heard Jim and I heard a popping noise when it happened, which is
This is
always
not
super
good.
scary, and it was my psoas that popped. So he worked
Oh,
my IT bands, like my glutes, everything was super tight from going up and down the ladder, from painting from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday.
yeah.
And that's what kind of did me in. So I'm okay. I was at like a 5 pain level, which isn't my worst that I've ever been at. I'm
Yeah.
at about a 1.5 right now.
Which is
But maybe once I'm
fantastic.
done drinking my wine, I'll be at like a half.
Maybe zero?
So yeah, so that's what I got going on, girl. What you got going on? What you been up to other than driving 6+ hours up to New York?
Yeah, I mean, we've just been getting the place ready for the new season and everything. We put the boat in the water, but we actually had well, probably three really cool wildlife encounters. Two of them were on the drive-in. When we got up here, it was 11:30 at night. We got a late start. It was Friday. And so we're pulling down. We're 3 miles off of the main road. So we're quite a ways down the lake, and we're driving in the boat. We couldn't drop the boat off, so we had to we're still towing the boat. And out of the side of our car, you see whoosh, a ginormous owl lands like right on the side of the road, must have nabbed something,
Oh,
was
wow.
hunting. And we're like, holy shit, did you see that? That's amazing. So that was probably at about a mile and a half coming down the road. And then after we passed our place and we were getting ready to turn around, Dave was about to say, oh, look at the frog in the road. At the same time, I only almost smack into another huge owl that was diving down to grab the frog that was in the road right in front of where I was
Oh,
driving. So
wow.
like, and I have the boat on the back, so I can't necessarily like slam on my brakes, but I wasn't going very fast either, so I was able to slow down and not make contact. But two owls, like
Were they
that's
were
just
they were they decent sized owls?
yeah, yeah. Like definitely some either like a barn owl or a great horn. I could not tell because it was all
That's so
happening so
awesome.
fast, but they were that size. They were
I
big.
love it. I
And
love
then
it.
the other night we were letting the dogs out at night and I had my headlamp on and we get to the top of the driveway and I just, I'm looking across the street and I see eyes looking at me and it was just a deer, but it was like a like eyes. But it was just a deer, so it was fine.
I
I
love.
know that they
Well, we
belong.
saw what we saw a fox when we were up there in February. Do you remember seeing the
Yes.
fox that was hanging out by the one barn? It was probably trying
Yeah.
to catch some mice that were probably residing in the barn because that fox was not moving. So you
No.
probably knew that there was some kind of prey there. But
Yes.
yeah, so I would imagine you guys have a plethora of wildlife up by you.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And, it's beautiful, but it's been cold and it's been rainy. So, like, we were between rain showers yesterday, putting out all of our summer furniture and getting the kayaks and the canoe out of the basement and all of that, getting it ready for summer.
That's exactly what Jim and I did this past weekend. We brought the kayaks down to the dock and power washing the deck and all that jazz because having coming company coming down this coming weekend. So
Yes, I know. And I haven't committed yet, but I'm pretty sure we're coming on Saturday.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
time
It's
are we
super
supposed
super.
to be down there on Saturday?
Anytime you want, anytime you want. It's super casual.
All right.
I probably have a cocktail in my hand around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning.
All right. So 10:30, 11 o'clock.
There
I'm
we
here.
go. Anytime you want. It's going to be only 65 degrees though as the high
Oh,
on
burr.
yeah.
Oh, poor Nana's gonna freeze her ass
I
off.
know, I know, but that's okay. It's okay. Jim filled up the pool and he's got it heated, so we should be okay if people want to go swimming.
Nice.
Yes,
That
yes,
sounds wonderful.
yeah,
Well, should we get into it?
yeah, yeah. So what race are we talking about today?
The Town Bank Outer Banks Marathon, which I don't believe was what we were supposed to be running that weekend, right?
No, no, we were supposed to run a race in Manchester, New Hampshire.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
Well, so we had planned to run in New Hampshire, and so we both got our confirmations, right? And usually we
Hmm.
don't look at the stuff, like or the races usually give you like emails, to give
Well, there's
updates.
usually like a flood,
There's
like
usually a flood,
our
right? Yes.
sponsors and our packet pickup, and here's your QR code, your bib number.
And it's usually like months in advance and leading up to the race. And I don't know what it was. I think it was one of those things where I was just trying to like figure out logistics of, hey, what day should we drive up? Yada yada yada.
Right.
And I think I looked at or you looked at, one of us looked
No, I
at the
think it
race
was you. I don't think it was me.
and oh, yeah, you know what? It was me because I looked at the race date and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the date that we have planned. And the date that they changed it to, we had another race planned. So it was like, holy crap, like, what the heck are we going to do? Like, we can't run that race. And we
Right.
had gotten no notification whatsoever. Both of us had checked our emails, our junk inboxes, absolutely zero communication about this race
Nothing.
being changed. And the whole reason why they changed it was because their Manchester's original race was going to be Veterans Day weekend and they have a big Veterans Day parade in Manchester. And so they did not want it to conflict, with the marathon because that would be a really, really hotbed mess. So they
Right.
ended up moving the marathon and not moving the parade. Totally understandable.
Yeah, as
Except
it
it
should be.
left us going, well, what the heck are we going to do? And
Right.
then my little friend Lori
I'm
started
like, well,
into her like,
there's
yeah.
this lovely race in the Outer Banks. I think we should go do it. It's on my list.
And I was adamant for a long period of time that I did not want to drive all the way down to the Outer Banks because it was what, maybe a 7+ hour drive.
It was 6.5, but maybe in 7 with stops,
And probably was 7 because you had to stop
traffic.
at Bojangles
Yes, both ways.
both ways. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And if the drive is maybe 8 hours, Lori could make it in probably 6.5 because of how fast you drive. And
Yeah.
we drove Thelma down. So who's Thelma? We haven't talked about Thelma yet.
Well, this is 2018. So in
Yes.
2018, June of 2018, I'd been a Jeep girl my whole life. I had given up my Jeep Wranglers when we decided to have kids because it was not a practical
Which
family
happens. They
vehicle.
happen.
Yes. Yeah. But the whole time I had kids, I'm like, I can't wait to get back into a Jeep. We graduated from the minivan to an SUV, our Dodge Durango, that God rest her soul. She lasted us 240 some odd thousand miles
And many kids.
and so many kids. Um, and then finally in 2018, I was like, all right, kids are grown. I want my Jeep. So I ordered her and she came just the way I wanted her. I drove her back from Florida. And so I was like, hell yeah, we're driving the Jeep down because you can off-road and there's all kinds of off-road driving on the beach and stuff with a Jeep.
Yes. And so we drove the Jeep from Philadelphia down to the Outer Banks.
Although that was before she was lifted, so she was a way more comfortable ride then.
Yes, yes, yeah. Lori has her Jeep lifted now. When my Jeep Wrangler is next to Lori's Jeep Wrangler, Lori's Jeep Wrangler is like, oh, look at my dick.
Yeah, but
Even
I
though I
don't.
have mine kind of souped up, like yeah, yours has the big like tires on it.
Just for now, you're gonna get beefier tires. It'll happen.
I will get beefier tires. I don't think I will lift the Jeep. And I just it like even today with having a hurt back and getting into the in and out
Yeah.
of the Jeep, I was like, oof, okay, like this is a little tough right now.
Oh, there are days that I leave the gym after a strong leg day, and I'm like,
Yeah, you need like a freaking ladder to get into Lori's Jeep. Or
well,
like you need to hold on to the oh shit bar and like show your pipes and like lift yourself up.
I also feel like I'm definitely overcompensating for something at 5'1" in stature.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right.
Now
I
the
own
the
that
one
shit.
thing that the one thing I did like about this marathon, it was flat. It was so flat. Everything was flat except for the last bridge that we ran over,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know?
Agreed.
Yeah, which
Well,
was
and there
nice.
was, I feel like one sand dune that like
Yes.
we crossed a sandy area in the middle of a forest. I think that that was like Nag's Head, town park or something like that that we went through. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the downside of this particular course is that there are distinct areas where what do you call it? Where there is no shade whatsoever.
well, and your highway running. There was like
Yes.
several miles of just being on like the main thoroughfare.
The downside was the fact that there wasn't a lot of shade in some of the spots.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
and we also ran by our hotel, which is always like one of the worst things to go and do.
It's so painful, but I love the picture. There's a picture of either me or you. I think it's you,
I think
like
it's me, like,
reaching for the hotel, like, please.
yeah. And it
Which
was towards the end of the race too.
yeah, which we stayed at the Comfort Inn. Was it Comfort Inn South, Ocean Front, I believe, was the
Yes,
name of
in
the
Nag's
place.
Head.
Yeah.
And it was a
Yeah.
great location because, as you said, when we took the Jeep the day before the race and we decided to go up to, was it Corolla?
Corolla,
Yep,
and
and
Caratuck.
yeah, and you're able to like deflate the tires and go up on the beach and check out the wild horses that
Yes.
are up that way. It wasn't a hateful drive,
No.
going up there, but then we also could go south, which we did,
Yes.
and had quite the like little journey like the day before the race, didn't we?
Yeah, well, we got to see three different lighthouses, which was super cool. We got to see the Karatuck Lighthouse. We got to see the Bodie Island or Bodie Lighthouse, and then the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, which I mean, it was really cool. Like they were all cool, but Cape Hatteras is amazing just simply because of the engineering that they had to move that back from the water's edge to save it. And the engineering involved in moving that kind of lighthouse, which
It
God,
was absolutely fascinating to see all of the pictures of how exactly they went and moved that thing on rails.
it's 192 feet tall.
Yeah.
And they moved it 2,900 feet inland. I mean,
And you couldn't
it's,
really even tell. Like if you didn't know the story behind it, you
yeah,
wouldn't know that that wasn't its original resting place.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And Laura's such an engineering geek, being from West Point and her engineering degree, that she was all geeking
I
out
ate
over
that shit up. So I highly recommend that even if you vacation down at the Outer Banks or you haven't ventured down there yet, definitely take a trip down to the Outer Banks because I had been down there with my family once. We didn't explore a whole lot. So I think that was kind of my want about the Outer
Yeah.
Banks. But then going with you and just how much exploring we went and did, up and down that coastline totally opened up my eyes to a different world of the Outer Banks than what I had originally experienced.
Oh yeah. I was pretty much before we went down there when you signed up for it, I'm like, oh, she's gonna love this shit. I'm like, what can I cram in that's really gonna make this fun?
You did good. You
Oh
did good
wait,
on that.
let's get a fire permit for a beach fire. That will be fun. Let's do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I love that. And the one thing that I do recall about the race too is that it was cold at the start. It was chilly.
Oh yeah, it was like 47 degrees, I think, because we were
Yeah.
pretty well bundled up when we started. And I think we kind of shed some, but not a lot.
Do you remember that you were wearing one of the Boston giveaway jackets? It
Yes,
was it
I
was
think
one
it
of the ones that was kind of ugly. It had like a checkered kind of pattern on it. I had already ditched mine. I didn't even own it still at that point in time. But because you also didn't like it and your thought was, well, I'm just going to wear it to the beginning of the race and I'm going to use it as one of my ditch gear.
Yep.
Do you remember that we saw a chick pick it up?
Yes.
And so she tied it around her waist. So she
Yes.
has a Boston jacket that she did not earn,
Did not earn.
and she tied that shit around her waist. And you were like beside yourself.
Yes. I
I'd rather
mean,
have a homeless person or somebody in a shelter go and take a jacket and wear that versus a runner who now has a faux Boston jacket. So shame on you, Miss Runner.
you know what? I feel like she's just sentenced herself to never run Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, that's just bad mojo. You don't wear the gear before you've earned the gear. I did early on.
That's rule number one.
That's rule number one amongst all the others.
Yep. Yep. No,
So,
absolutely. So yeah, but it was chilly when we started and it got into, the low 50s, which actually might sound chilly to some people, but it was absolutely optimal.
yeah,
And
perfect.
and again, when you run, you have to think about your body is going to feel at least 20 degrees warmer than what the actual temperature is. So when I talked about, we were in spots without shade, our bodies actually felt like it was 70, 72 degrees versus 52 degrees.
Maybe even closer to 75 with full sun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But couldn't have asked for like a nicer day and just beautiful skies. And it was just really, really nice running weather.
Yeah. So at the time when we ran it in 2018, it was a point to point. We started in Kitty Hawk and finished in Manteo. So you go through Kitty Hawk, Nag's Head, Manteo, obviously. I feel like there was another town in there that I'm forgetting. But now they had a bridge out. So since we completed in 2018, they had the same course up until 2023. In 2024, they had to cancel the marathon. They ran the half. They have a half, an 8K, 5K, and a fun run. They ran all the shorter distances, but not the marathon because the bridge being out, they couldn't find re-permitting to figure out a
Oh,
secondary route, so they completely canceled it. In
it's a bummer.
2025, they're coming back. It's not the original course because I'm assuming that they're scared that the bridge won't be open yet. I think it was supposed to open in February. I'm not sure it has yet. Um, but it's like mostly like a huge out and back and kind of not on the Outer Banks per se, but more like Manteo
Oh, like inland
and more inland.
across the
Hmm.
intercoastal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a huge out and back. So
I tell
that's
you
like,
what, I loved the course because I absolutely loved seeing the Wright Brothers Monument.
yes,
That was
that was like at mile 8. We ran right by that.
Yeah, and we had our picture taken in front of it, and that was really spectacular to see. They really did that area up very nicely. Beautiful park area.
Yes.
There were some people walking their dogs, and other folks walking around. But I thoroughly enjoyed that. Just all the scenery in that area.
Yeah, it was nice. And I felt like we also went through about the halfway mark. We did go through like a little local park for quite a while too. And we
Yes,
weren't on pavement. We were kind of on a gravelly trail
yes,
and then it kind of went to a little bit of soft sand. And that was kind of nice just to have the relief of a different type of substrate to run on. Because as we've always said, it's so much softer than concrete and blacktop.
absolutely, absolutely. And unfortunately, sometimes when you run on sand,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
your
things happen.
body, yeah, things happen when you run on sand as
Yeah.
well. So what happened to you, Lori, when we were running on sand at some point in time? Because we were like we were in our glory, to your point,
Yes.
running on a different surface, and it's just almost like a relief, to your pound the pounding that your body feels.
I actually can remember hitting a runner's high
Yeah.
right on that trail and you going like, pony chick, what is going on with you? Like, slow down
Like
a bit.
slow
And
down.
I was like, I feel good. And then we kind of hit this soft sand duny spot. And yeah, something kind of popped in my foot that outside of my foot that didn't feel so good. But then I was just kind of like, you just do what you do and you
Yes.
find the grit. Even though it
Yes.
was mile like 13-ish, it was really my mile 20 moment because
It was your mile 20 moment because I remember you saying that and it was like, dude, do we need to stop? And you're like,
yeah,
okay.
it's fine, it's
Because usually
fine.
we're dealing with my injuries. So then I'm in this like what do we need to do? What do we and you're like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. And we finished and everything was fine. But I can remember like tall boots were all the fashion. And I had these really cool, like very cool tall boots that were very like fitting. And I was like,
Yes.
after the fact, I put the tall boots on and we were doing our after race stuff and then like I let go and everything kind of got wobbly again. I'm like, yeah, this hurts. Like something, it
Yeah.
wasn't just like a moment
Like you
cramp.
knew.
Yeah,
You
I'm
knew.
like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what we had going on was the next weekend we were flying out to Tulsa, Oklahoma to run the Route 66 marathon. So just to leak what we'll be discussing next week, we'll be discussing the Tulsa, Oklahoma Route 66 marathon. But I was like, I'm not going to run that, and I'm not. What could a doctor say except don't run? And I was like, that's just not even a possibility.
And again, we stress a lot of times that what we do in terms of how we run our marathons and how we treat our bodies is not this prescribed way to
No.
go and handle marathon running for
Yes.
most people. But you will find that there are crazy marathoners who will run hurt to run a race,
Yes.
and it happens, and so yeah,
Yeah.
I was very, very stressed because like it just everything was kind of turned, the tables were turned, where now I was the one dealing with the injured friend, and is she going to be okay, and what do I need to do to put her in bubble wrap right now? It
Yeah,
was an
but we got through it.
unusual table turning, and I was not used to that.
So true. So true.
Yes,
But it was fine. Everything was fine. We got through. We finished that one, albeit a little slowly towards the end. I think we were like right at the 6 hour mark. But the nice thing was that at Route 66, I think it had an even later cutoff. So
it
it
did.
really, I
It
don't
did.
even
We
know,
we
like
we
eight
definitely benefited
hours.
from that. Now, the things that kept us occupied while we were on the course, I think this is when you like dry humped
Yes.
the paper cutout, cardboard cutout of Jack Sparrow, like the character Jack Sparrow
Yeah.
from the movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there was some dry humping on the course.
I have a well, we all know I have a Jack Sparrow fetish,
Yes.
so it is
Yes.
what it is.
Yes. Yeah. I think I took a nice picture. I did not take a foul picture of you with the Jack Sparrow. Although I think you were kissing it.
No, I was just standing very nicely
We're
next to it,
standing
I
nicely
think.
next to it.
Yes, it was
And
very
then
innocent.
there were people who had some costumes on. There were people with some big crybaby fat masks on that we got pictures. Usually, anytime somebody's wearing a costume, because I absolutely love costumes. You love costumes. And
Yes,
we appreciate people making that extra effort when they're out cheering for during a race, that we will actually go and run over to people and get our pictures taken with them. So we
yes,
we did get our pictures taken with the people in the crybear baby masks. So
yes. And then the other thing is that I don't know if we ever met the runner that belonged to
we did
this
not.
particular family, but there was a runner somewhere near us, I think behind us, but not by much, that the family, there were some kids and I don't know, a sister, aunt, I don't know. They were cheering on like mad, their runner. And it was amazing. And so we started we saw them like twice, maybe early on, and we're like, we're gonna secretly adopt them. I
Yes.
want them to be our family
Like they were
cheering
they
us
were
on.
like, let's say they were cheering for Gina, you and I were like, we're Gina, we're Gina's.
Yes.
Like, you can cheer for me. My name will be Gina today if you wanted to, like.
Yes. And we saw them continuously throughout the course. And then, like, towards the end of the course, we're like, you're our adopted family. Like, we told them that we were looking forward to seeing them every time. And then when we saw them at the finish, that was a really, really cool moment.
It was because two of the young girls, and maybe they had to be, what, maybe around 12,
Yeah, 10,
10,
ish somewhere
12
in
years
there.
old.
Yeah.
And when they saw us coming in, again, they were waiting for their runner. But when they saw us come in, because we had been talking to them then, probably the last, like, what, 6 to 8 miles of the race, that the two young girls ran in to the finish line with us.
Yeah, it's like they were our kids. Like it was Ella.
Right. Like, and I just thought that was so much fun,
I
you
think we
know?
got a little teared up over it too. I think we cried a little.
Right. I think we hugged them and thanked them for their support, and then they just went right back, to their families and stuff. So I don't know. There was something special about that. And as a runner, like if you've ever run a race and you have somebody that's out there cheering for you, they're ringing a cowbell, they have a sign, they're just like clapping their hands, for you, or they're doing it for other people. As runners, we so appreciate spectators, just beyond appreciate
100%.
spectators, because you don't realize how much, you might be cheering for somebody else, but how much you internalize, hey, like, yeah, like, in your mind as a runner, you're like, oh, God, that person's cheering for me too, like,
Yeah.
and you just, I don't know, you just kind of feed off of it, as well. So
100%.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that
that was
family, those
awesome.
those kids were so incredibly sweet. So where did we drop our booze that race at mile
I
20?
I believe that was at Nag's Head Golf Links. It was somewhere tucked in like a golf course community neighborhood we ran through. But for the life of me, I could not remember what I drank. And we didn't get a picture of us doing it either.
I actually do have a picture of us, and you're drinking something out of a bag.
Oh,
You had it like all wrapped up, and I apparently took the time to pour my drink into a red Solo cup. So who knows what we were drinking? So
right. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure it was a beer. I'm pretty sure I was still in my beer phase at that point.
Now, when did our cooler bag start to make its presence? Was that it?
When we started flying more.
Okay.
I think when we started flying more, we were trying to figure out how to keep it cool, and we found those hot cold bags that you can pick
Yes.
up at the grocery store,
Yeah.
and realized that that would be an awesome thing. And then I would buy it and I would take it. I'd actually take it home, dry it out, clean
Y'all,
it out.
so she had this bag that had like these little like clamps, right? That clamped it shut. And we would find ice and put a ton of ice, especially for like a warm race.
Oh yeah.
We would put a ton of ice in this bag and have our one or two beverages each in the bag, especially if we like went and dropped it the night before. And then, Lori, afterward, we would go back and pick up our bag and as well as our cans. Like if
We took care of our
we
garbage.
did, we always carried out. But Lori would take the bag and turn it inside out and let it dry. And then she'd put it back in her suitcase and that shit would come to the next race with us. Like that was our bitch bag, man.
That was a bitch bag up until West Virginia. Dot dot dot.
Yes, dot dot dot. So, but that was fun being in that little golf community, and here we are, freaking slogging away, at some
I
drinks,
feel
while we're
like we
running the marathon.
probably also danced. I feel like I have a memory of us dancing um, the time
The
warp.
time warp.
Yes,
Yes,
100% in the golf course community.
we totally did. We
Yes,
totally did. And folks, we will actually stop in the
and
middle of a
dance.
race
Yeah.
and do, was it?
It's just a jump
Put
to
your
the left,
to the
and
jump
then
to
you
the left
step,
and step to
step
the
to the
right.
right.
Put your hands on
Hands
your
on your
hips.
hips.
And then you thrust
Bring
it
your knees in tight. Do the
inside.
pelvic thrust.
Thrust.
Really drops you insane.
Saying. Yes. So we will actually take the time to go and do that during races, which is always really fun. And there was one race where we did it on the side of a highway. I can't remember what race that was, but there was stop traffic and people were hysterical laughing at us. So
That is, yes.
yeah, yeah. But the finish for this race, after the young girls came in with us, that was a sweet setup at the end of that race. And I don't know if their setup
Yeah.
is still the same, but they had like food trucks and
They
beverage
do
trucks.
what they tout is a barbecue, Southern barbecue, chowder, and beer. And I feel like we definitely had barbecue. And
We
it was
definitely we
Carolina.
definitely had barbecue.
Yeah. And I
Yes.
think it was Eastern Carolina barbecue too, the
Yeah, it's my
vinegary kind.
favorite.
It was so
I
good.
love vinegar barbecue. North
Yeah.
Carolina barbecue. Mm.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah. And then after the race, we went back, grabbed some showers, and then we did our redneck happy hour on the beach,
Yes.
which was
Yes, we did.
probably, when you think about core memories in your lifetime, this one was a core memory for me.
Oh, 100%. So I had gotten ahead of time. You have to do this ahead of time. They have online permits that you can get to have a fire on the beach in North Carolina, and there are certain beaches where that is allowed. And I was like, well, hell yeah, we're doing that. That sounds like fun. Part of driving on a beach or any place where you can get stuck is to have some kind of traction equipment, which I did not, still don't really have, but I definitely did not have then. And for some reason, I thought I had packed a shovel and a cookie sheet because I thought that that would be really good traction equipment, a shovel to dig us out and a cookie sheet to help us get track. I don't know. So I had these things packed and we decided to use these things for our beach fire pit that I got a permit for.
Yes. Well, we used the cookie sheet as our tray
Our
for
charcuterie tray.
our charcuterie tray of David Bruce wine and potato chips.
Is ooh la la, so fancy.
But you know what? I don't know. There was something about that where there was no one else on the beach because
Nobody.
this race was on November 11th of 2018. So it
And
was
it's and
definitely
it's a
not their busy season.
no, and it's a very, very small race. I mean, in 2018, there were 437 finishers.
Just small.
Yeah, and in 2023, they had 326.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's a small marathon.
Yeah, but very, very well done and
Yes.
thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, and the fact that you went and bought a bundle of wood up in Pennsylvania and brought it in the Jeep, with you as well. That was testament to, yeah, we're gonna go and do this, damn it.
Yes, but it was so awesome. And I can remember like the sky was so clear. And even though we were right next to a fire, the stars were fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. I believe that we did some satellite watching as well. I mean,
Satellite, I think
that's
we even saw a shooting star or two that night also.
absolutely did. Absolutely did.
Yes.
And the cool thing was like, just hearing the waves lapping, and again, there was no one else around, right? It's
No,
just the two of us, and just sitting and chillaxing, after
with
after
our
a
cookie
solid
sheet.
race with our cookie sheet and our potato chips and our David Bruce wine, because we're classy that way.
Yeah.
But then I believe I got a little toasty
Oh
at
yeah,
some
then
point.
you started humping stuff.
Yeah. Then at some point in time, we were on the road and we passed by something that I said looked like a mule.
Yes.
And I was like, it's the army mule. And I grabbed, I mean, this thing was colossal. I don't even know what it was made out of, but I grabbed it by its neck and I tried to wrap my legs around its neck from like the underside of it. And it made for a really bad picture.
No, but it was a good memory.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was good. And then we ended up eating at what do we eat? The Lucky 12 Tavern in Nag's Head. And
Yes,
you had
and
this burger that was just like, do you remember that thing, man? It had to be about 12 inches high.
I remember it being delicious, and I remember being so excited for that burger. But it was also like at the tail end of us eating those goos. And I can remember sitting there
Yeah.
being like, my stomach is
Yes.
killing me. Like,
Yes.
I don't even have an appetite right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I think that was probably one of the last times that I had ordered buffalo wings, because you would go after burgers after a race and I would go
Yeah.
after buffalo wings. And I think that was the last time that we both did goose, because then you started experimenting with other stuff.
I think we did Tulsa with goose.
Did we do Tulsa with goose?
I think we finished the season with goose. And then I'm like, I need to do something different. We need to do something different next
Yeah, yeah,
season.
because the two of us were both complaining about like our tummies just getting super upset from,
Yeah.
yeah, from that. So again, for those of you who are just starting to run, you just have to experiment. Some people have no problem with goose. Other people do regular food like bagels. We like to go
Bananas,
and do the what they call the
honey stingers.
honey stingers, and really really like those. So those are a little bit more gentle on the tummy. Still like, they're hard to digest and whatnot, but very very effective and a little bit more palatable than the goos were for at least us. Not that
Oh
they're
yeah,
bad. It's just
100%.
like they just, after a while, your tummy just starts to like, reject stuff. And maybe it's old age as well.
Well, it may have been all the alcohol too, but
Shh,
it was the goose, 100%.
hush. Don't say that. The other place where we ate was for breakfast after the day that we were leaving, was a place called Stackham High. And we recall that was a really, really great breakfast. And that was in Kill Devil Hills, right?
Yeah, that was good. I think you were a little nervous at the start being gluten friendly, but I think it turned out okay 'cause they had eggs and stuff.
It did. It
Yeah.
did. It did. It did. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good. It was good breakfast food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just overall, I mean, I think, just the day before, we ran the race. I just really enjoyed the fact that we took the ferry down to Ocracoke Island.
Yes.
And that was really neat. Although Ocracoke, not a lot was open because it was really kind of, closed for the season. It was really neat to be able to, just see that area, learn a little bit more about the history and the pirates,
Yes.
that used to frequent that area, back in the day.
The
Because I had no
Blackbeard.
idea.
Yeah.
And then what was the cool house that we saw on the way home, or two cool houses?
Oh, yeah. We got to see the inn at Rodanthe. Is that how
Uh-huh.
you say it? I don't know. I've never even seen that movie. It's an old movie
It's called
from,
Nights in Rodanthe with Richard Gere and Diane Lane.
yes. And did you know Viola Davis was in that too?
I did not know she was in that movie.
I didn't
I
either.
didn't remember. I saw the movie, but I didn't remember that she was in it. But the house where it was originally filmed used to be right on the beach, and because
Yeah.
of, just getting compromised by so many storms, they actually moved the house inland. So we pulled up to the house in the driveway, and like I'm taking a picture of it. I'm like, "Oh my God, we're gonna get arrested."
It was at night too.
Yeah.
We really pressed the envelope that on the day before the marathon. We did a lot of
We did, because I
stuff.
think we got in like super late. It was had to be like maybe like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and I can remember us stressing a little bit because we were trying to make the ferry off of Ocracoke and having to get dinner in our bodies before we ran the next day and all of that. So, but
Yeah,
but we did stop to see that. It's a vacation rental now. You can rent that place out.
I did not know that. I did not.
Yeah,
Well, you know what place doesn't exist anymore is the Furturo house.
that's true.
So
That was weird.
this is a house that looked like an alien spaceship, and it was built in 1968. And unfortunately, a couple of years ago, the place burnt down. So it is no more. So unfortunately,
So
people cannot see that anymore.
there is a whole cult following around these Futuro houses. There is a futurohouse.com, and they are literally all around the world. They were designed by some guy in like the 1960s as these prefab ski chalets. That's what they were meant to be, but they look like a giant's UFO.
It does look like a UFO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go on to like futurohouse.com, they actually have a listing of where you can see all of them. And they're all across the world, Japan, like Europe,
That is
Finland.
so
Like
crazy.
it
That's so
is
crazy.
insane.
Well,
Yes.
the person that owned this one in North Carolina had like little alien faces like on the outside or the inside of the windows, like looking out, which I thought was kind of funny.
I feel like it was a little museum at one time before we saw it. I feel like it was closed already by
It
the time
was.
we saw
It
it.
was. It
You
was.
couldn't get
But
in there.
we did eat dinner at a place called Gaffer's Sports Pub, which is now closed. But what I do recall about that dinner is that we were already sitting like we hadn't even run the race in North Carolina, and we were already like, okay, like, all right, what are the next like 5 races we're running, and like really solidifying that. So that's when we started really, I mean, we're already in the heart of crazy, but we were in the heart of crazy at that point in time, and just really trying to plan around your family,
Yes.
because you had the younger kids,
I'm
and
not sure we had committed to the 2023 finish yet, though, at
we
this point.
hadn't at
Yeah.
that point in time. So I think
Yeah.
that's where we were trying to like, all right, well, what do we want to shoot for here, and how aggressive do we want to get, in each of the seasons? Because 2018, I mean, we hit a lot of races,
Yeah.
in 18.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
But in the fall,
Yes.
thank God.
Yes. Yeah, because we were trying to figure out when can we start hitting the spring races. So
Yeah.
that's where that conversation, started. So tell me about the shirts, because I really like these shirts.
Yeah, the shirts are actually pretty comfortable. They're just a blue t-shirt, but the back is kind of nice, although I don't know if you can see it online. No.
Cannot see it, no,
No.
but it's got a flag. It's got a flag on the back.
It's what I like about it is what I like about it is that it's not sponsor heavy.
It's not.
It's Veterans Day kind of themed with, a very patriotic theme, and it's just very race heavy, which I love. Shit.
I love it too. And then
Please tell
and
me
then
you didn't hear that.
no, no, I did not. I
It's
did
nine
not.
o'clock.
Yes, it's 9 o'clock. Lori needs to let our dogs out. Ooh.
Son of a bitch. Anyway,
Oh my gosh,
and the
that's so
medals.
funny.
Now, I have to say, I don't know. What are your feelings about the medal? Do you have yours?
I did not pull my medal out, so
So
yeah.
this is what's on the back. If you are
Oh, it's
joining
no.
us on
There you go.
YouTube,
There you go.
that's what's on the back of the shirt.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's got a veterans American flag-esque kind of feel to it.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. It's not my favorite.
They
It's
could have
not
done
the worst.
a lot of stuff different, because of all the history, the Wright brothers, the ocean.
Yeah, you could have done a plane, pirate
Yeah.
ship. I
Yeah.
mean,
But I guess they were going with the whole theme of, being on Veterans Day. So,
yeah,
yeah.
respectable.
All right. So, question, would you run this one again?
I might if it goes back to the original course. I don't know how I feel about it in its the course in its current state.
Yeah, I
But
would
I'd
not.
love to go back to the Outer Banks.
Yeah, I would not run an out and back. I wouldn't mind running the original course if we had, maybe other members of our family who wanted to go and maybe get North Carolina like
You're
crossed
really
off.
pushing our family agenda right now, I have to say.
What? What?
I don't think any of our family has really signed on to this,
No, they have not.
but
They
but
they,
we
they have
have.
not. They have not. I know. I'm like, come on,
Y-
bitches, we're running Delaware in December.
we really don't need them as an excuse to run things twice. I'm
I,
just
I know,
saying that
I
out loud.
know, I know. But it would be a nice excuse.
True, it makes it easier to sell to the hubbies.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, all right. So next week, super, super excited about talking about our race next week.
Yes, it's one of my
We
faves.
are going to talk about the Route 66 marathon in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had an absolute blast.
Blast.
If any episode you need to tune into, it's next week
Yes.
because Tulsa, the marathon and the people that are spectators, they just put on one big huge freaking party the entire
26.2 miles of
race.
party.
The entire race. So
Yes.
we got into some serious shenanigans during this race. So definitely tune in next week to go and see just exactly what we did on the course.
Love it.
So we are again super excited that you all joined us tonight for the marathon in the Outer Banks. We had a blast going and talking about it. We're looking forward to covering down on the party marathon in Tulsa, Oklahoma next week. So go make mile 20 your bitch this week, folks.
Peace out.